Hardest questions for Christian apologists.
I'm not sure this creator is looking for answers to these questions, but for those of you wondering how you might answer, let's take a look.
Is there any verse that you could change in the Bible that actually would have decreased suffering in the world? And why didn't God do it that way?
None of us have knowledge of all possible outcomes, so it's not a question we can answer. But why God chose to do it his way is for him to know. The answer isn't that you need a sufficient rationale for why God didn't do it this way. What we need is to recognize the limitations of our own wisdom. Say, we don't know enough to ask this question.
If there is one true church and one true gospel, then why are there so many denominations based on the same book?
There's only one set of right answers to the ACT test each year. Why do the thousands of students not all get the right answer? A multitude of wrong answers has no bearing on the existence of actual right answers. People are fallible. Churches are fallible. And this is also an exaggeration of the dilemma. Yeah, there are thousands of different perspectives on secondary and tertiary issues, but largely all of these churches agree that Christ came into the world to save sinners, and that by placing one's faith in him, you too can be saved.
If you believe that life begins at conception and you were at an abortion clinic and a fire broke out and there was one child, or there was 5,000 fertilized eggs, would you choose the child to take out of the building or grab the carton of eggs?
So this is another non sequitur. My personal working through of this moral dilemma has no bearing on the veracity of the biblical worldview. But such an extreme example says nothing about our normative commitment to both the born and the unborn.
If God created the universe, then why is the universe so antithetical to life?
Well, it isn't, which is why you're able to ask the question.
99% of all species on this planet have gone extinct.
Sure, and the notion that the universe is conducive to life still proves true because of the fact that we're here and we still exist. But the biblical worldview also knows that something has gone wrong, and that because humanity's failed dominion, the creation has experienced all sorts of futility. So in terms of why things die out and why there's suffering and why there's sickness and all these things, the scriptures would actually support your conclusion there, and so this isn't an obstacle for the biblical worldview.
There was a time where there was only a couple thousand humans who were on the earth, and the rest of the universe doesn't seem to support life.
Which seems to be David's point in Psalm 8 as he looks up at the stars and he's saying, man, this is massive. It doesn't make any sense. All of this is way bigger than we are. And yet in some strange way, God seems preoccupied with these human beings on this planet.
How much bad theology can get you into heaven? Meaning, was the truth more important and being loyal to the truth, or actually being a good person?
This is a false dilemma because those aren't mutually exclusive. And if I tell you that the right answer is to be a good person, I'm still giving you a true answer. But more importantly, one is not saved by the amount of right theology that they have. Being that we are sinners, we're corrupt in both our head and our hands, which is why the gospel is not that you're saved by the amount of right theology you have or even the amount of good works, because even those are tainted. The good news of the gospel is not that we're saved by the amount of good works or good theology, but by trusting Christ. And that should produce somebody who thinks rightly and behaves rightly. Those aren't mutually exclusive.